Hey, Yetta, is finding a great home in Ottawa like finding gold in the Yukon gold rush?
Well, the golden homes, they're flying off the market, right? Super fast.
Moving forward with the Dekker Team. Moving forward together with the Dekker Team.
We're excited to welcome you to another episode of Life's Inside Track on Real Estate. I'm Yetta Dekker.
And I'm Ken Dekker.
And it's where we get to share techniques, thoughts, tips, tools, and tactics, and some truths that we all need. We all deserve, you, I, everyone, so we can make the best real estate decisions, make our house home, and really thrive in the space that we live in. We're going to consider how the current climate in the Ottawa real estate market is making it tougher than ever to find that gold.
Yeah, and what's interesting is, even though inventory is higher than it's been for the last couple of years, we're still in the below average of the 10-year history of how many houses are for sale. And the demand for housing in Ottawa is high. Like the immigration is high. Young people are aging into the time where they want to buy a home, so they're trying to buy houses. So there's this climate of pent-up demand, but then there's some factors that are causing people not to be able to buy.
Right. So one of the pent-up demand issues is this whole conversation of affordability. Mm-hmm. We can call it interest rates. We can call it inflation. We'll go into a fair bit of detail around some of those things, and yet it's difficult because we want to do something as many people recognize and know the fact that building wealth, doing good with your money, we need a roof over our head. We might as well own it rather than have somebody else own it. Unless we're in the middle of a transition or moving. So it's not like we have to convince people that home ownership's a good idea.
No, it's pretty well known.
It's a pretty well known fact, right? And yet it's still difficult. The climate here can still make it tough. So one of the things that makes it tough is people think it hasn't actually got tougher.
Right.
So some people will call me and say, well, let's go look at houses. And I said, well, have you talked to the mortgage lender or been pre-approved? Have you got your financials in order? Have you got everything handled? Mm-hmm. And they go, no. I've been pre-approved before. No big deal. That's actually often not true.
No, because like you were saying, the golden houses, the really, really nice ones that are priced well, are flying off the market. I mean, you had a client just the other day.
And he said, well, we don't need to see it today. We'll see it tomorrow. And the good news is he's early in his search process, but he does have all his numbers in order. He has everything calculated. He has all his T's crossed and his I's dotted. He just needs to be ready to make the decision. So he said, we'll do it tomorrow. Well, when tomorrow got here, two other people had already decided to put offers in. And I said, well, we still have time to get in to see it, because I'd had a conversation with the realtor and we could still get in to see it before presentation time. Mm-hmm. Even though, and this is a new trend, she only had a 4-hour request for a turnaround on offers.
Wow.
4 hours. And what we've been seeing a lot of is 24 hours. Not as many delayed offers, meaning we're going to do it in 3 days, 4 days, 5 days. We still see it, but it's been more this 24-hour thing. Give me till tomorrow. And that gives the agent opportunity to go see if there's anybody else that wants it. We're starting to see some of this, you got to move faster, you're going to be done. Mm-hmm. So that's a current trend that's creating some additional chaos.
And a little extra anxiety for buyers because they have to be prepared. They have to be ready. And when they find the right home, they got to be ready to pull the trigger, so to speak, right? You've got to, when you find the vein of gold, you don't stop digging.
No, you pull it out. Well, you keep going, right? You make it happen.
Exactly.
And, it sometimes feels like, because we're realtors, we've been at this, 35 years, and so 70 combined, which is crazy to me. Anyway, let's not give away our age.
You just did.
Well, sort of. And yet, if you don't make a decision when you see the one, people will say to me, well, there's always another one. You're right. There will always be something else. And unfortunately, often it's inferior, or at least you think it's inferior, because the one that got away got better than it really was. So it becomes a deterrent to ever getting your home.
Yeah.
Because it keeps getting further away from you.
That's right. And, there's the old milestone of $1 million. Now, $1 million isn't as much as it used to be. And we're seeing stats all over the internet that about 90% of people who are millionaires have real estate in their portfolio. Right?
Yes.
And so, maybe you need the Dekker team to come alongside of you and help guide you through this process, through this turbulent market. And let's find a great property for you that you can afford, right? Because we're going to talk about a couple other things that are holding people back. One of which is the stress test.
Because even though interest rates, and I know everybody says they're so high, they're so terrible. Well, in the scheme of real estate,
5% is not horrible.
5% is, I remember when we got to 10% instead of 16%, we were thrilled. I thought, wow, only 10%, because they'd been in the 20s, they'd been in the high teens. And so to think that we were at 10%, never mind when it went single digit, we thought incredible. And I understand the prices of houses were less than. We also made a whole lot less money.
Yeah.
Right? In those times. So the 5% is not terrible, and that's on pretty long-term money. But the stress test really means freaks us out.
Well, why does it freak you out?
Well, it freaks us out because I'm no longer needing to qualify at the posted rate. At the rate I can get. Yeah. I'm qualifying at a posted rate.
And above the posted rate. So you might have to qualify at 7-8%.
Right.
And then that reduces your ability to buy property.
Right.
So that's a tough one. And some people are telling me, I'm going to wait till interest rates go down.
Oh, but that's a terrible...
And if you're thinking that houses are going to go down more in value, maybe. But I see the trend towards up in value. And as soon as there's an interest rate drop, which there's hints of for June and maybe another one in September, as soon as there's an interest rate drop, prices are going up. So if there isn't a better time to buy real estate than now, the only time was like 5-10 years ago.
Well, yeah, not
it's a great time to buy real estate.
Right? This is a better time than that. So really just consider what your options are. Like you can keep paying somebody else's rent.
Yeah. And if you're a first-time buyer, it's even tougher because generally you're in a lower price bracket.
Right.
And there's more pressure on that lower price bracket. And people that are in those homes aren't necessarily moving yet because their rate's low. They don't want to move to a bigger house and sell that lower one. Yeah. So the good news is there is some inventory.
Yes.
Just need a great guide.
Right. So the question is, how can you as a prospective buyer adapt to this changing climate in our real estate market? So in the next segment, we're going to explore that in more detail.
Yeah, we're honored to be positioning you to build wealth wisely because it's about much more than just money.
Moving forward with the Dekker team. Moving forward together with the Dekker